Good day, everyone. HighRoad Solution is pleased to present this online webinar entitled, Why Aren't They Receiving My Email? Our speaker for the presentation today is Jenny Lassie. My name is Jeff Baker, and I will be your moderator for today's seminar. Today's presentation will last approximately 60 minutes and include a specific question and answer period at the end of the session. You may ask a question via the web conference system simply by typing it into the Q&A box on the right-hand side of your screen and then clicking the Call Out button or hitting Enter on your keypad. These instructions will be repeated later in the program. If you have any technical questions during your event, please email support@highroadsolution.com. Today's webinar is being recorded and all participant lines will be muted during the program. Jenny Lassie has been affiliated with HighRoad Solution for 7 years, first as a client and then as an employee. With experience handling deployments and deliverability for a wide range of clients with optimized recipient engagement top of mind, Jenny routinely troubleshoots deliverability issues from ISP level filtering to email client level filtering, email forensics as she refers to them. She also consults with clients on authentication, content strategy, email preference center management, and other deliverability optimization tactics. It is now my pleasure to turn the call over to Jenny.
Why, thank you, Mr. Jeff Baker. I appreciate that introduction. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Today's content really is more for event marketing and, why aren't your emails reaching inboxes, but it really applies across the board. When it comes to deliverability, it does not matter if you are sending out an event marketing type of email or a marketing email. They're all treated the same when it comes to MTAs and message transfer agents. But today's content, we're going to go over why is monitoring your deliverability beneficial to your organization? What contributes to email deliverability? The 5 C's. What are the different reasons your organization's emails could be filtered or blocked from reaching recipient inboxes? And how you can overcome deliverability obstacles to optimize your email programs? Some best practices and some resources and takeaways. So why is continually monitoring deliverability important for your organization? And I say the word continually because what I have noticed in the organizations that I've consulted with is that deliverability often is more of a reaction, not being proactive in monitoring to maybe address any of the issues that are at the root of recipients the emails not reaching the inboxes. So it's very important to your organization because why? It's a waste of money, frankly. If you are sending email and email addresses are being resolved as invalid because they're no longer good, or maybe the deliverability with a specific ISP or domain you're sending to is blocking your emails and they're becoming invalid. Also, excessive email bounces, emails filtered due to junk and spam folders. Really, you're paying for all of those emails to be deployed. It is a waste of money. So how do you really know if your emails are reaching an inbox? That's a great question. There are no little snippers that are going into the inbox to see, okay, well, it was led into the server, and now let's follow the email, and was it delivered to the inbox? Was it going to their spam box? Was it going to their Norton antivirus email junk folder? There's a myriad of places that your email could be going to. Unfortunately, there is no tool that is going to tell you for sure where each individual email is going. But there are ways to see in general what is happening in the inbox. So as you can see here, this diagram is of a report that we have. So you can see the inbox, you can see the bulk box, and the emails going missing. This is a tool that you have the ability to do right away inside your HighRoad account. If you have any other platform, they should have some sort of tool for you to test your domain delivery. This Pivotal Veracity has tools like this. Return Path has tools like this. The backbone of this particular report in a HighRoad account is a Pivotal Veracity account. But HighRoad also uses Return Path to do some more in-depth consulting with inbox deliverability. Now, when you do one of these reports, it's really sending to a seed list. And that's important to know because it's not actually finding what your Yahoo deliverability is or the percentage inbox in Yahoo is to your specific email addresses, your Yahoo email addresses that are in your email marketing database. It's sending to a seed Yahoo that reports back that information of where that email is falling when it's being delivered to either an inbox or spam folder, or if it's gone missing entirely. So when a SureSend domain delivery report is enabled, you can see the results. So you can enable it here. This is in the message creation process. You might notice this is in one of the first stages of your message when you're setting it up. You can check this domain delivery report checkbox. Now there is sometimes a fee associated with that. Normally when you are using this type of report, 1 or 2 reports comes with your annual renewal package or your account with us. So just reach out to your account representative or your salesperson to know exactly how many that includes. Okay, and then when you do enable it, then you'll see in the message stats for that particular sent message, there'll be an additional tab here called Domain Delivery. You click on that tab and you'll be able to see the top ISPs and where your emails are going. Now this is important. These are the top ISPs. These are the Hotmails, the AOL, the Comcast, the Gmails, any of the big ISPs that you could possibly deliver to. But there's several small ISPs that you might not have the ability to see. That's simply because they are B2B. They're smaller domains. They have their own rules that they set up on their email server. Their own rules that are not really necessarily standardized, but it's customized for their particular organization. So if they want to, say, refuse any traffic that has, certain keywords in the content, or maybe they want to siphon out anybody that is using open tracking type technology to track and open, they can do that. Some .edu addresses will filter out any emails that are coming in that have any reference to any social media platforms. There's a lot of different things, so you really have to take your specific email marketing database in mind when we're doing some consulting with your organization to see what's going on if they're not reaching the inboxes. So what contributes to your deliverability or ability to reach an inbox? Great question. Wait for it. Wait for it. And it's really the sum of all parts of a solid email strategy plan. So do you have one of those? No? Well, get in line. There's not a lot of organizations that have a specific email strategy plan. It's more of a thought process that member-driven organizations have these, scripted out email communications that they send to their members by virtue of their membership. So people are signing up. They are signing up for membership. They automatically get these emails right out of the gate. Okay? Well, where should you start to build your email strategy plan? So an email strategy plan, it doesn't necessarily need to be difficult. It can be easy. And the 5 C's of email marketing strategy should be a part of that strategy plan. So I broke it out into 5 C's. There's configuration, there's content, there's create, there's criticize, and continue. And if you do all of the 5 C's, you're going to get a cookie. Okay. So to start off, the 5 C's for configuration. Configuration is really firewall settings. It's setting up your email, configuring your account. It's adding the permissions for your users. It's setting up domain keys. It's adding, sender ID. It's adding, anything that you might have require, like, having your people whitelist your IP address, or, adding items to your templates to really kind of address the configuration issues. These are the things you can control when it comes to deliverability. These are basically cleaning up your house, cleaning out your closets to make sure that you're taking away every single possible objection that's under your control when it comes to inbox delivery. And then you have the 5 C's, or content. So in the 5 C's for content, you have the content the recipients find value in, okay? Content the recipients asked for, that's important. Content the recipients expect, so meaning they're expecting it on a specific day at a specific time. They're used to seeing it. You've trained them to see it. And there's a clear call to action with your emails. They're not just information that doesn't really require any action, because if it doesn't, people are just going to delete it, or if they don't have time for it, they're just going to siphon it away, probably never get back to it. And you want content to be delivered when the recipients want it. If you're not taking advantage of time zone sensitive delivery, you can do that in the product. If you don't see that option, you can certainly give our support line a call or email support and find out how to enable that. That's something that we would do for you. And you also want the content that renders correctly on whichever desktop or device the recipients are using, specifically pertaining to responsive design. Now, you go through all of these hurdles to get an email to the inbox, but once the email actually hits the inbox, what it looks like will depend on if somebody is actually going to take the time to read it, or just skim it, or delete it. Okay. Now create. The 5 C's, so create. So you need a clean HTML email template. You need a clean layout using read more links to keep the most exciting content above the fold. You really need these emails to be part of really engaging the member about your event, about your content. You don't just want to put stuff out there to put it out there. You want it to really resonate with your audience. So your newsletter should also have a table of contents if you can. Just people do tend to be skimmers, and if your newsletter is running a little bit on the longer side, having the ability to see, okay, these are the highlights, this is what's in this newsletter, they can click it and automatically jump down to an anchor to that content. If they have to skim for it, if they have to search for it, they're not going to have time to do it. They're on their iPhones, they're on their iPads, they're at an event. They need you to tell them specifically what is on there and give it to them in a way that they can, that they're looking for that content. And again, the template that renders correctly on whichever desktop or device recipients are using. If they are on the run, if they're using their mobile device, if they're using their iPad, you need to make sure that those emails are rendering correctly. If you're using the standard type layout, basically if somebody does receive it on a mobile device, an iPad or an iPhone, they're just going to see a really tiny version of what your email looks like on a desktop. The headers are going to shrink, all the text is going to be very, very small, and you need to make sure that they have the ability to see it a little bit larger. So if you have graphics that contain text on them, you want to make sure to keep the font on the larger side, so when they do get reduced in size, people are still able to see the message. Okay? And then also, you can create automated recurring message type emails to free up resources who can't put in all of the energy into strategy and analysis that you may want. So automating emails using recurring messages like 30, 60, and 90-day membership renewals or event reminders, you can automate all of those using the recurring message feature to free up your resources who might want to put more energy into your other marketing messages. And then criticize. So in criticize, and the word has a negative connotative meaning for a lot of people, but in essence, we really just want to get analytical about this. We want to analyze all of the metrics associated with this email and see what's going on. Because if you can't learn from sends and what your audience is doing with your messages, you're not going to know how to send out the best possible email in the future. So to analyze delivery metrics, specifically bounces, opens, and clicks. And so when you do analyze delivery metrics, the bounces, opens, and clicks, the opens and the clicks really equal engagement. It means that people are opening your email, they're looking through everything, they're reading the content, they're clicking through because they want to learn more. They're highly engaged in your content, okay? People that were just delivered a message but never opened and clicked, those are the people, essentially, that you are not sure if that email reached their inbox and they just didn't react to it, or did it go into their spam folder. And so, I'm probably like most people, and I don't look at my spam folder very often. I might go in there once a day to see if any client emails ended up there so I can respond to them. But I'm really not looking in there like I'm looking at my inbox. And bounces. Inside your HighRoad account, there are a lot of ways that you can take a look at your bounce logs. So under the delivery tab, you have the delivered and the sent and the delivered, and then the bounces. Now the bounces, you can see the number of subscribers it bounced to, but if there were any bounces, you can download that bounce log. That bounce log is going to have a lot of information for you to look at to see the email address that bounced, the bounce code, and the bounce reason. So one of the important things to know is, well, why is it bouncing? Let's take a look at that bounce code and the bounce reason. Most of the time you'll see it's either spam content or a mail block, or maybe it's something more on their end, like the mailbox was full or something along those lines. That bounce log is key in seeing what's going on inside your email. Okay. And then you do want to check out your bounce logs within 24 to 48 hours post-deployment, not a month later. The problem with looking at them so much later is that most ISPs, if you have like a whitelist request, or you're reaching out to them to say, this email bounced to your domain, can you please whitelist our IP address or our sender email address, and they a lot of times will say, well, send us the message, and they won't even address anything that wasn't delivered within 24 to 48 hours of your request. So make sure that someone on a daily basis inside your organization is one of their responsibilities to go in every day and check out those bounce logs. All right, and then also you want to isolate subscribers who are not engaged with your emails, no opens or click-throughs. So these are really what we're talking about. If they're not opening and they're clicking through, you do not know if they're reaching an inbox or a bulk box, okay? Now a lot of times email clients are trained by people's previous behaviors. So engagement is a big factor. So if they have not clicked through or opened one of your emails that you have sent out, sometimes if they haven't in a certain amount of time, it will train the email client to automatically route that email to their spam folder until they go into their spam folder and set rules to say, let this email through. Okay. Now that's the really hard part, because once you're sitting in that that space and you're not sure if they're being delivered, then really trying to engage them or win them back into engaging in your emails is way harder than if we were to execute a solid email strategy right out of the gate. Okay, it's harder to win people back than it is to keep them. So you need to create a win-back campaign for non-engaged subscribers with an incentive to respond. Okay. The call to action. So just the general newsletter, if there's just articles in there that are not resonating, they're kind of the opinion that they may not particularly care about the content that's in there because they might be hurting for time, they might be going into back-to-back meetings, but if there's something about that email, even one aspect, could be the lead story that's very targeted for them, we really want to get them, give them an incentive to respond. Okay, so this can be done inside your account to siphon off anyone that has not opened an email in your account. And you can start to suppress them from your other sends. And this doesn't need to be across the board all the time, although I would never recommend sending emails to anyone that has not opened one of your emails in 6 months. Okay, that's just right out of the gate. That is what I would not recommend because that is going to ping your deliverability in a negative direction. So, but then this non-engaged group that you have, you can do a win-back campaign with them, meaning send them something that's going to really get them back into the program. Maybe some sort of incentive. It could be an offer that you might have that you want them to be able to take advantage of, and then you can siphon them back into your regular email sends. Okay. And then also analyze how many subscribers opt down or unsubscribe from particular messages. Maybe the perceived value of the content is low. So that's one of the things that we've talked about here at HighRoad is how to analyze the strategic value of your email and how are they perceived. Are you just sending blanketed emails and not really putting a lot of thought into if people actually want them? Well, we did a study recently where we surveyed several people, and it was determined that they did not want to receive any more than one email from an organization that they were a member of. Okay, that is not a lot of email. Most organizations are touching their recipients multiple times per week, and hopefully you can use the marketing calendar inside your HighRoad account so you can visually see how these emails are spread out, and maybe if too many are hitting the same audience in a very short period of time, you need to spread that traffic out. But also, I would recommend surveying your members to see if they perceive all of those emails to be critical to them, and maybe they can rate them. Just say, of these 5 different emails that you receive as a part of your membership, rate them in order of priority of what you find the most value in. Okay? If you're spending a lot of time into putting content and creating these messages and deploying them and sending them out and then analyzing the delivery metrics, but nobody wants it, that's a waste of your time. You could be cutting that out, cleaning up the house, if you will, and then sending out something that actually people will be engaged in. Okay? All right, and then the 5 C's continue stage is to use what you've learned and apply it to future deployments. It's pointless to even look at analytics and see what's going on if you're not really going to use that knowledge with future deployments and say, okay, well, we're not getting a higher level of engagement here. Let's start to suppress people that are not opening or clicking through to our emails here, and then we can do a re-engagement campaign. These are all things that people should be thinking about. Engagement should be top of mind, because especially it depends on the domains that are part of your email marketing database. But if you're emailing people from Gmails, the Hotmails, the big ISPs, engagement is huge, and they have algorithms, and they don't care, if they're a member, if they're not a member. It's going to train those emails to go into spam folders automatically without you being able to do anything about it. So that is one thing to keep in mind, okay? So what are the different reasons your organization's emails could be filtered or blocked from reaching recipient inboxes? Okay, and this graphic I created because it's really a perfect example of exactly what's happening. So it looks like a funnel, right? And your email's flowing in from the top, and it's going down. It could be caught in any one of these little notches that are on the side of this here. First, ISP level filters could be siphoning off your email before it ever even lets it in. And then there's the email server level, which if you have a lot of smaller domains, they have their own email server filters put into place. There could be like Postini or Message Labs or other types of spam filtering technologies on their email server that are very difficult to get through for B2B email marketers. And then there's email client level filtering. So say you get through both of these stages here, and then the email client, so Outlook or whatever email client is in use, has a junk folder on it as well. Okay, in addition to maybe a spam folder that is part of their antivirus program. So they have two possible areas that your email could be getting siphoned into. That's frustrating, to say the least. And I think that's the reason that you're all here today, is because, well, what can you do? So troubleshooting filtering issues. So firewall issues. Your organization's firewall needs to be configured to allow an email traffic originating from outside your firewall if you are using any email system hosted outside your organization. Perfect example, your HighRoad account. This is a third-party email platform, meaning it's outside. You're accessing it via the web. The sending servers are in San Diego. Your integrations are running on, our HighRoad Solution servers and at the Rackspace data center. There's any myriad of things. So if you, as an organization, have your email server blocking anything that could be construed as phishing, then you might be blocking your own emails from coming inside. When you're sending out your tests, either live messages as tests or using basic test messages, if you're not receiving your email, your own email that says it's you, it could be because your email server is actually filtering out anything that looks like phishing, because it says it's coming from you, but it's not coming from you inside the organization. So one of the things that you can do is have your IT department whitelist that IP address. There's also other configuration issues. One big thing that everybody's talking about now is DKIM, so Domain Key Identified Mail, and Sender ID, SPF record. So basically these two authentication methods are a digital signature that you are who you say you are. So if you do not have DKIM and Sender ID, basically that's the first thing I'm going to address. If you come to me and say that your emails are not getting received by the members, I'm going to say, do you have DKIM and Sender ID? Simply because if they have any kind of phishing filters in their spam filters, which I'm guessing 99% do, your emails could be automatically routed to their bulk folder or quarantined on their email server. So you might see a delivered, but you beyond that, you're not sure what's going on with that email, if it's reaching an inbox or spam folder, or if it's being just quarantined right at their email server before routed to the end recipient. Okay, blacklisting issues as well. So real-time listings resulting from spam traps and other recipient complaints. And there's also engagement issues. So web-based ESPs like Gmail, Hotmail, and Yahoo are looking at metrics like messages deleted without being read, percentage of email opens from any one specific sender to only inbox wanted mail, and the rest are routed to spam folders. And so email server filtering software issues. They could be using Postini and Message Labs. These are the big B2B. I tell you, if you've had experience with any Postini issues, then you know that they're very frustrating, because Postini is very, they don't support their own platform, meaning once it was purchased by Google, they don't actually support it, nor do they really sell it anymore. So if somebody is having a Postini issue, they themselves who have it on their email server don't even know how to whitelist your IP address or your domain. They'll say that they don't even see that option once they're logged into their Postini software. So email filtering software use a complex mixture of engagement, keywords, IP blocks, blacklist, that may route your email to spam or junk folders. And so then again, there's email client issues. So email clients like Outlook, MacMail, Thunderbird, they all have junk folders that the email recipient needs to train over time to inbox what is considered a wanted email. So what can you jump through, and what do you have to jump through in order to reach inboxes? Okay, so we briefly discussed the firewall hoops. So have your IT department whitelist the IP block or IP address your email account is sending from. Not every email service handles IP addresses the same way, so speak to your provider on next steps. But if you are using HighRoad, we do either have your HighRoad account on a shared IP or dedicated IP. And you can, and if you're unsure of what your IP address is, you can send yourself a live email and then look at the message header. That IP address will be inside that message header, or just simply reach out to support@highroadsolution.com. We would be happy to tell you what your IP address is. Okay. Configuration hoops. So ask your provider for instructions on how to implement DKIM or sender ID for your organization's domain DNS. Usually, this is only possible if your email service has a dedicated IP address for your organization, but that's no longer true with your HighRoad account. It used to be true, but now we've made it so every single person on the HighRoad campaign email tool can do DKIM regardless if they have a dedicated IP or not. They're not related. So essentially, the DKIM, or the domain key identified mail signature, digital signature, is at your account level, meaning on your account. Okay? And blacklist hoops. Look up your organization's domain or IP address with any kind of blacklist tool. There's MX Toolbox is out there. What is my IP address? Blacklist check to see if you're on any blacklist. If so, you can follow the instructions on how to be removed, as each RBL will have its own way of being removed. However, if you are a HighRoad customer, we actually do a lot of this analysis for you. So if you have a dedicated IP, that is one thing you do get is the deliverability monitoring piece on there. So on a daily basis, actually, I'm looking at our tool, which I will see visually if your sender score, first of all, and then if there's a lot of complaints, and also if you're on any blacklists. And if you're on any blacklists and I submit for you to be removed on them, I will bring it to your attention. Okay? There's also engagement hoops. So web-based ESPs like Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo are looking heavily at engagement metrics, like I said before. So one of the things that you can do, obviously, maybe a stronger call to action. You could also try A/B testing to know what content, email type, or call to action is getting the best lift in engagement and response. If you know that one of your emails has a great response, and your event emails might have way better engagement metrics than your other marketing type emails goes, especially if you're reaching out to people that have already registered with different, before you go type emails. Those in general have a higher open rate than your normal marketing messages because people are curious. They're getting ready to go. They're preparing for going. Integrating your event emails with your HighRoad account is actually going to lift the engagement with all email sends. So it's very important. I know other people might be using different types of platforms to send their event marketing. And one of the reasons that this is not good is that those metrics are going to lift your engagement to all of your email sends. They're going to help basically the other marketing emails over that fence. It's not going to bring down your event emails in any way, shape, or form. Generally, when you have your subject lines, it's going to identify that mail as coming from one of your events or before you go, or highlighting the event so people know right out of the gate what that email is about. Okay. There's also email server filtering software hoops. So one of the things that I'll do if I see blocks, so someone brings it to our attention, we're having a really hard time getting through to this specific domain. And so I'll go in there and I'll see in their bounce logs, yes, they do in fact have an issue. And I will give them an example of how to reach out to postmaster at whatever the domain is, or abuse at whatever the domain is. By RFC standards, you as an organization, have to have at least one of these email addresses. You may not have both, but they'll either have postmaster at or abuse at. And if you send to both, then you're just covering your bases. But then you, in the subject line, will have the IP address associated with your account to say, please whitelist, and ask them. Now, when you're being filtered, it's just machines talking to machines. It's software talking to software. There's nobody, behind the curtain that's, hitting the spam button on your emails. So you can reach out to them. Almost always you're going to get some kind of response from somebody, and they could say, they want further proof or further information about your request. And, it's just people talking to people. So you can reach out to them, be honest. These people signed up for this event. They might not even realize that they reported you as a spammer, because a lot of people don't in their email client. What I'm finding is that they can hit the spam button, just think, because it's right next to the delete button, and they're just clicking around, and they see that email go away. To them, it's a delete, but they don't know that the feedback loops in place will automatically remove them from your HighRoad account. It'll put them into the opt-out table in the database. They're not lost, but you would need to go under subscribers and opt-out export in order to see these email addresses that could have inadvertently opted out. Okay. Email client filtering hoops. So you can ask your email recipients to add you to their safe list as a trusted sender in the pre-header of your email. And when I say that, every email that you send, if you have are using the HighRoad transactional platform in order to send your event registrations or maybe your invoices or something else that's trigger-based, receipts, you can ask the recipients in those emails as well, right in the pre-header, that little line before your email template actually starts that says, please add us to your safe list. Okay. Also, you can try the A/B split testing to know what type of content resonates with your audience and will elicit the best open and click-through rates. Okay. So a high-level view, DKIM and sender ID. It's not a scary term or complicated at all, I promise. And that's one of the main reasons that a lot of customers, even when I am consulting with them, they're fearful of adding anything to their DNS. And I just want to put any fears at ease that it's not going to break anything. You're simply just adding functionality. You're adding a few text records to the DNS. So how it starts is this. You tell me what domain or domains you send from, okay? So if it's from HighRoadSolution.com, or if it's another subdomain, communications.highroadsolution.com, you tell me what domains you send from, and then I will supply you, or whomever you're working with at HighRoad, will supply you with a text file. And inside that text file, we'll have 4 snippets of text that you add to your domain's DNS. So you log into your domain, and you add, you go in the records, you add this value here, and then it's a text record, and then anything in between these quote marks, you just simply highlight, copy, and paste into your DNS. And the same goes for here. You copy this entire thing. You can put your IT contact email here, and copy this, whatever's in between the quote marks, and paste it into your DNS and hit submit. Okay, once you do that, you reach out to us and you say, we've added the text records, and then we validate, and if we can see the keys, everything looks okay, we flip the switch, and boom, DKIM is completed. Now, there's some DNS providers, wherever you host, that might have some silly rules, like maybe the number of characters. These are 1024 characters. There's other DNSs that require less or more characters, and in those cases you just simply let us know, and we'll figure out what the best solution is going to be for that instance. But a lot of times if they have like an open-ended text input box that you're pasting this value into, and for some reason it truncates it, meaning like it breaks that link because there's so many characters in a row that it has to break it somewhere, and in doing that, is breaking it. Now, if you do find that to be the case, a lot of times if you just submit a ticket to the DNS host, they can do exactly the same thing but cut and paste this into the back end, which will make it so you're not getting any of those front-end errors like like it's truncating the value. Okay. Once you add the TKM, this is ours. So you have the host domain here, you have the type, and then you have the value in here, and then you can give it a little description, and then you hit save. So it's really just that simple. I'm not even joking. It takes maybe 5 minutes. Okay. That said, so the HighRoad Solution deliverability caps. Okay. So if you have a dedicated IP, we log into our tool, and we can see visually what's going on with every IP address that is dedicated, all of our customers. And we see right out of the gate a ranking. If we're seeing something that's in yellow here with a very sad down-facing red arrow, we know that maybe something's going on. So to take a look into that, we can see the sender rejected. So basically that is bulk boxing that's happening due to poor reputation drivers. We have messages filtered, which is messages filtered that are being bulked at the gateway. It's pretty similar to sender rejected. It's just different reporting depending on the ISP it's going to or domain it's going to. Unknown users. So if you're having a lot of points deducted for unknown users, it's because you may have purchased a third-party list and are deploying to it without first sending it through an email validation tool to even see if those email addresses are in fact still valid. So that is one thing. If you're prospecting for any events, if you're prospecting for any membership type emails, always, always, always run that list through an email validation tool. We don't care if you do it through us. You could go directly to any of the providers, the lead spends, the Bright verifies, and go directly to them. In fact, it wouldn't be a bad idea to get an account with them. It's usage-based, so you're not paying a monthly fee, but maybe on a quarterly basis, you can run your emails through that validation tool to see which email addresses are no longer good. Okay? There's also infrastructure issues. So if we see any issues with no DKIM or sender ID, we'll see that as well. We'll see volume. We'll see spam traps. We'll see any blacklists that maybe you have been on and have an opportunity to fix it, in which case we will bring it to your attention that we noticed you're on the spam cop blacklist. We submitted your whitelist request, and we should be getting feedback from them, and we'll let you know. So those are things that we do behind the scenes. And we also see complaints. So any emails that you send that elicit complaints, we will see. We'll see the subject line of it and tell you about it. So if you're seeing a high number of complaints, we'll let you know. Also feedback loop complaints. Now these are things that part of your HighRoad account, we manage your feedback loops for you. Okay, so you don't have to take a complaint, like maybe an AOL complaint, and automatically log into your HighRoad account and take out that subscriber from your database. Our system is doing that for you. That is one of the benefits of having a HighRoad campaign email account. Okay, but if you are on a shared IP, we do monitor that shared IP because we have several association customers on a shared IP, and if there's a lot of complaint activity that could be negatively impacting other associations, we will bring that to your attention as well. Okay, so we can see visually complaints, we can see what domain they're coming from, we can see the subject line, and we can see how many complaints there are. We can also see if these shared IPs are on a blacklist, and we can see the blacklist complaints. We can also see if they're on any spam traps. So we can see that they're on spam traps, and as far as how people accumulate spam traps, it's usually from recycled accounts, meaning deactivated, like Gmail accounts and that sort of thing, that Gmail keeps open to use as a recycled spam trap. There's pristine spam traps, which are honeypots, if you will, and also the recycled. So the recycled are probably the most common, but any of these are something that we are monitoring on our shared IPs to make sure that they're squeaky clean. We have a very high sender score with them. If it ever dips at all, we definitely take action. Okay. So the best practices and takeaways. So to really be more strategic with your email sends with the 5C strategy. Only send to good email addresses. If you're unsure if they are good email addresses, please do an email validation check. So we can take a list. We can do this for you. It's a fee-based service, but or you can do it yourself using one of the platforms I referenced before, the Lead Spends or the Bright Verifies. But routing it through there, you're going to see if there's valid email addresses, like they're verified, or if they are just a catch-all, meaning some email servers allow in anything. So it could be anything at HighRoadSolution.com or Mickey Mouse at HighRoadSolution.com. If you catch all, if the HighRoadSolution.com catches all, you can send any email address to it. But is that really something you want to do? You want to get to actual people, not just a catch-all. Now, if you don't know if an email address is good, here's a good service to use. That's the one that we actually use. We can do these run these tests on your behalf, but there is a little bit of an administration fee for supporting you and the consulting to tell you the next steps for this, but that is something that you can do. Only send to recipients who ask for it. If they didn't and you want to send them any email marketing message, ask for permission in a permission pass email first. This is a lot, I'm sure every email marketer has been kind of bitten in the behind for sending out an email to maybe to like a prospect list when they didn't ask for it. You're going to get higher complaints. You're going to get you could get on blacklist because of those complaints because people weren't expecting that email. They didn't ask for it. You can be as nice as you want to, and they can still hit the spam button. Okay, so don't ever purchase an email list, but if you do a reverse append process to get an email address of a record you already own, don't assume it's okay to send an email to it. Always do a permission pass email first. And so a permission pass email, just high level, it's going to briefly explain the reason you're asking for permission. It's going to have a clear yes or no call to action button. Okay. Now you can emphasize one or the other, obviously, if you want to maybe incent them, but the main purpose of this email is to say, can we email to you, yes or no? Okay. The rest can be gravy, but that has to be, what pops out at you first. This can be used when reaching out to prospects or asking existing members if you want to send a new type of email message to them. So say you as an organization are creating a new newsletter type, okay, because you have this content, people have asked for it, and you want to send it out. You add it to your email preference center to allow people to opt into it, and maybe you want to ask them first if introduce them to this new type of email preference and have them tell you, would you like to receive this or no? And to that, I'm going to open the floor up to some questions. And Jeff, if you'd like to read some of them.
Great, thank you. That is definitely now the Q&A segment of our webinar. Your participation is key, so please don't be afraid to ask any questions. You can ask a question via the web conference system simply by typing into the Q&A box on the right-hand side of the screen and clicking enter or hitting the call out button. While you are typing those in, just wanted to remind you that ASA is offering CAE credits for this event. If you would like to receive that CAE certification or the credits for that, please type in your full name and email address into the Q&A box. Make sure that'll get done as well. All right. The first question here is actually about DKIM, and they just wanted to know a little more information about that. So you could explain that again?
Okay. Well, the process is very simple. You tell us what domains you're sending from. So if you're coming from, um, and when I say domains you're sending from, I should quantify that in that what your sender email is. When you are sending out an email, you have the ability to put the from email address and the reply to email address, okay? We're specifically concerned with the sender email address. And so if you're saying that you're from info at whatever your domain is .com, I just need to know what domain is after the @ sign, and I will have keys generated for you and supply you those. Those are the text snippets that you would add to your DNS, and let us know when you're done. And then we'll test it and flip the switch. And so once you do that, it's a digital signature that your domain is allowed to send email on our platform, okay? This is the case for any type of enterprise-level email platform, okay? When you're sending email through your own Outlook, it's already has a digital signature associated with it. But when you're using an outside third-party email platform for sending emails in bulk to multiple members at a time, that's when the DKIM becomes important. Not every platform offers this. HighRoad does. Whether you're on a dedicated IP or a shared IP, this is something that you can do right now. And if you don't know if you have DKIM maybe enabled already, you can send yourself a test. If you have a Gmail account, you can send yourself a message from your HighRoad account. And if you see, when you open it up in Gmail, a via bluehornet.com after your domain, that means that DKIM is not enabled. Okay? So that's one of the things that you can do to test.
Great, thank you. Next question, any more information about the win-back campaign and kind of what would make a win-back campaign successful?
Oh, okay. Well, I would love to be able to tell your organization what is going to resonate the most with your audience, but specifically win-back campaign is it's a trickle-down campaign, or you can send a series of messages to them. So if you wanted to say siphon out or create a dynamic segment of anyone that has not opened an email, say in the last 90 days, and you wanted to suppress them from future sends of your regular email marketing messages, and then send a campaign to them with like maybe 2 or 3 touch points to try and incent them to open your email. So it could be 10% off your next event registration, or some kind of offer that you wouldn't normally offer or want to, but really trying to get them to engage in one of your emails. You're going to have to give them incentive to do it, okay? Subject line is the best place to that's the first thing that they're going to see, even if it's in their spam folder. You want that subject line to be strong in attempts to get them to respond, to at least open or click through to one of those mails. So any future sends you send to that non-engaged community, if they've clicked or if they've clicked or opened any of those emails, they'll be siphoned out of future emails if you're using a dynamic segment, because they'll no longer meet the criteria that they have not opened. So the call to action is really an incentive to try and get them to open the email. Now it could just be like, hot news, or maybe like a press release or something that's really going to interest them. Those are the types of emails you want to send to them, this audience. Good question.
Yeah, definitely. This one is not exactly along the same lines, but close, about subject messages, the subject of your email. For the subject of the emails, do you have any best practices? I've heard personalization is both a great thing and both a horrible thing, as far as what may get flagged for spam and get blocked in the subject.
Well, that's a great question. In general, personalization, think about your own behaviors of when you do receive emails. If your name is in the subject line, are you more inclined to open those emails, or are you not as inclined? I know personally I am, because I can see that they've taken the time to add a personalization tag instead of just jolt things out of there. But there could be some rules that are set up on the email server of the domain you're sending to that could say anything dynamic, or filter them out. In my experience, it has not been a horrible thing. Adding a first name to it and other types of personalization is good. Now, the only time it can really be bad is if there is no value for that personalization that you're pulling in. So say you upload a list of only email addresses, but you do not map first name, and maybe there's no first name available for that subscriber, it would basically be blank, comma, and then whatever the rest of the subject line is. So you have to be very careful about having all the values there, and then also a default catch-all. So if you don't have a value there, you can determine inside your account what you want the default for that to be. So if you're bringing in a custom field, you can set up your default to be, so instead of dear first name, it could be dear valued member or something. You just want to make sure that it's not blank.
Okay, thank you. And again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to type them into the Q&A pod. If we do not have time to get to them today, we will send a follow-up email with the answers to any of those questions. It looks like we're coming up near the top of the hour. Jenny, anything that you would like to say as a recap for the webinar today?
Sure. Well, I mean, thank you all for joining us, and we are here as your partner in sending email. In that, that's actually what I have a lot of fun doing. Is if somebody comes to me and says so and so is not getting my email, it trips me to looking up that email address, seeing what's going on, and a lot of time it's looking into the minutia of the bounce logs and the message detail of the subscriber profile and really getting to the root at what's going on. Because if you can't address what's going on at the root, a pound of cure is going to do nothing. You need to fix it. That's really what I want everybody to get out of this, is to just really be active in looking at your analytics, criticizing what has worked with previous sends and what isn't working, to really learn about your audience. And so that's the main point. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or the entire HighRoad team. We're all here for you. And then next up at the U, I did want to mention that keeping your attendees happy. So is Friday, September 27th at 11 a.m. Eastern, and featuring your content leader will be Suzanne, our Chief Marketing Officer of HighRoad, and there are CAE credits applied to that as well. And thank you very much for joining us, and there's my email address if you have any questions, and also you can follow my Twitter handle there at HighRoadJenny. And thank you very much. Any final questions?
It looks like there are no more questions at this time.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for joining, and happy email sending.
Great. And thank you everyone for your participation in today's webinar. Why aren't they receiving my email? A special thank you to our speaker, Jenny Lassie. If you have any additional questions or comments, you can email Jenny directly, or you can email us at support@highroadsolution.com. Today's session was recorded. You will receive an email within the next few business days with a link to the webinar, as well as written answers to any of the questions we were unable to get to today. Today's webinar is copyrighted by HighRoad Solution with all rights reserved. This concludes today's program. Thank you, and you may now disconnect.